what is the fear or anxiety for songwriters when that question comes up a lot in class, right? You show them a tool or technique and they say, yes, but did the songwriter really know what they were doing? So maybe first let's start with a bit more of an explanation of your intention there behind saying what the more interesting question here is, could it be
Yeah,
intentional?
yeah. I guess that of course brings Wittgenstein, the philosopher Wittgenstein, into play. He would say, depends on what you mean by the word no. Uh, uh, Certainly, when John Lennon wrote Imagine, uh, uh, did he intentionally put every phrase except one in each one of the verses behind the downbeat, and which made it feel more than imagine, imagine there's no religion. Imagine there's no religion. Now, if I'm from the West whatever Baptist Church, I'm going to say, oh, can't do that. Uh, but if it's softer, if it's behind the downbeat, and you say, and so everybody loves the song Imagine because it's not threatening. But if you sing the song Imagine with all of the lines on the downbeat, so did John Lennon know that a back heavy phrase is going to create more instability and a little more floatiness? Did he know that? Well, it depends on what you mean. No, John Lennon probably never had the words back heavy he probably never said those words in his life. Um, did so? Did he say, "Oh, I think I'm going to, put all of these lines, and then when it says living life in peace, I'm going to put that right on the downbeat." Um, no, he didn't do that. Did he know? Well, it depends. It felt right to him. Uh, and how did he come by that kind of felt right knowledge? Well, certainly one of the ways was when the Beatles were starting out. He probably learned 500 or 600 songs that other people wrote, uh, and that kind of stuff, the stuff that really makes you feel something, um, got into his bloodstream, and he was replicating that kind of knowing that you get uh, when you when you're in the presence of songs that make you feel something.
Hmm.
And that for me is the big biggest thing. In Places We Won't Walk, when I heard that song, it made me feel something.
Hmm.
And and when a song makes me feel something, I say two things. Number one, thank you. Number two, how did you do that to me? Uh, and because I mean, if a song doesn't make me feel something, I'm not curious. I'm not
Hmm.
curious. But when it makes me feel something, that means that there's something in there that resonates with me, and therefore something that, because it resonates with me, I might find useful in my own writing.
Hmm.
And so that's kind of an alarm that goes off. It made me feel something, therefore there's something there I can use
Hmm.
in my own writing. What is it? How did he do it? Um, and so I think I think that even if John Lennon had no articulatable knowledge of what he was doing when he skipped the downbeats in all of those lines, even though he had no, uh, I guess, agenda for it or
Hmm.
some analytical background for it. Uh, it He was in the presence of many songs that made
Hmm.
him feel something, and it just felt right to
Hmm.
say "imagine" in a softer way.
Mm. It's interesting. I think the equivalent in psychology, with the philosophy you were talking about, is in psychology they talk about explicit knowledge and implicit knowledge. and that these are two bodies of knowledge that are knowledge, and explicit knowledge is the kind of knowledge where you know what you're doing and you can verbalize it. Implicit knowledge is stuff you know that you're doing, but you may not be able to verbalize it, and often but it's different. Implicit knowledge is different to kind of naive trial and error. Where implicit knowledge is actually built on a body of knowledge and a body of practice and a body of rehearsal, that becomes muscle memory, essentially. It's like driving, it's like at one point that was explicit. We had to consciously think about those maneuvers, and then over time it becomes implicit. We don't think about what we're doing, but that doesn't mean we don't know how to drive. What it does mean is we can focus on the destination and respond intuitively to things as they arise, but that there is a body of knowledge there. And I think that that's important, because I think that, at least for our students, and I think a lot of people who are interested in learning but kind of scared or concerned that knowing explicitly will dampen their creativity. I think it's important to say, well, that you need to know something explicitly in order for it to become implicit, and therefore like versatile and flexible and available, in a moment, not something where you're like, what chord do I choose here? All right, I'm going to cycle through 14 chords until I hit the one I know. It's like, well, if you have that implicit knowledge through experience, it actually takes you a split second to reach for the thing that's going to achieve the effect that you're feeling, even if you can't verbalize the choice and why you made it.
Yeah, well, there is also the possibility that you have no implicit knowledge, but what you have done, it just sort of came out that way.
Yeah.
Uh, it's almost by accident. Um, and that song could be something that gets heard by people, that may even become a famous song. Uh, and in that case, the writer had, let's just postulate, no knowledge, either implicit or explicit. It just happened that way. And I can point to a couple of my songs that I started out with just because I had a particular picking pattern that was going on. It came out a certain way, and I had no idea what I was doing, but the song really worked.
Mm.
Now, if you listen to one of those songs and say, "Oh, that made me feel something," what was going on there? You still uh, are going to get tools from that song, even though in this case the writer is to the side. The writer is irrelevant to the
Mm.
song. And in that same way, John Lennon, Paul Simon, uh, Bruno Major are irrelevant to our search as songwriters to what makes us feel something and how did it do it.